The cuffs clicked around her wrists while the silver car alarm kept blinking behind her. She had not raised her voice. She had not resisted. She had only asked the officer to check the envelope in her coat pocket. Why did no one listen? Why did the crowd believe the uniform before the woman standing alone beside the car? And why did an old military chaplain suddenly stop at the edge of the sidewalk like he had seen a ghost? The officer thought he was arresting a thief. But before the morning ended, one sentence over the radio would make every badge on that street go silent. The second click sounded smaller than first. Naomi Brooks felt the steel settle around her left wrist, cold enough to find the pale scar beneath her cuff. The morning smelled of rain on warm pavement and coffee from the charity hall doors. Behind her, the silver car chirped once. "Keep your hands where I can see them," Officer Grant Hale said. "They are behind my back because you put them there," Naomi answered. People in suits shifted near the steps. One woman raised her phone, then lowered it when Hale turned. A boy in a navy blazer clutched a medal while his mother held his shoulder. Hale leaned close enough for her to smell mint gum. "You want to make this harder?" "No?" "Then stop correcting me." Naomi looked at the curb. Her car key lay on the hood beside the invitation and envelope she had asked him to check. "Officer," she said, "there is a number inside my coat pocket. Call it." "You can tell that to booking." "I am asking you to verify before you move me." Hale gave a short laugh. "People with real business here don't wait outside locked cars they can't explain." The word moved through the watching faces. "Can't." Naomi heard a man clear his throat, a volunteer step back, a cup scrape under someone's shoe. At the sidewalk's edge, Chaplain Elias Mercer stopped so suddenly that his cane tapped twice. He was tall but stooped, his white collar visible beneath a worn brown jacket. His eyes went from Naomi's face to the brass coin on the keyring. "Grant," he called. "Hold on." Hale did not turn. "Stay back, sir." Mercer took one more step. "I know that coin." Naomi closed her eyes for half a breath. Not relief. Not yet. The metal around her wrists pressed harder as Hale guided her toward the patrol car. "Sir, I said stay back." The chaplain's cane shook. "Officer, listen to her. She has no registration in hand, no proof of ownership, and she refused a lawful order." "I did not refuse," Naomi said. Hale's grip tightened above her elbow. "You are done talking." The crowd made room. Bodies parted. Shoes whispered over wet grit, and no one crossed the strip between Naomi and the open rear door. June Park stood near the Charity Hall banner with her nurse's badge clipped crookedly to her cardigan. Her phone trembled. On the screen, Naomi's face looked smaller, cut by Hale's shoulder and blue light. "Ma'am," June said, "do you want me to call someone?" Hale snapped his eyes toward her. "Do not interfere." Naomi turned just enough to see June. "Yes, call the number on the invitation." "The invitation is evidence now," Hale said. "It is paper," Mercer replied. "Read it." For the first time, Hale looked at the old man. "Chaplain, don't make me ask another unit to move you." A bus hissed at the corner. A damp leaf skidded under the cruiser tire. From inside the charity hall came feedback, then applause. Naomi bent to enter the back seat. The movement pulled the cuffs across her scar, and her fingers curled once, then opened. On the hood, the brass coin swung from the key ring. Mercer saw the engraving clearly then. His mouth parted, but the name did not come out. Instead, he reached for the envelope under the windshield wiper, just as Hale shut the cruiser door between Naomi and the street. At 6:12 a.m., Naomi Brooks parked 2 blocks from the Redwater Veterans Charity Center and let the engine idle until the dashboard lights dimmed. The sedan smelled of leather, dust, and peppermint tea. Mist clung to the windshield. Across the street, workers carried chairs through a side door. She reached into the inside pocket of her beige coat. The envelope was still there. Its corners had softened during the years it spent in a metal box on General Arthur Bell's desk. Lila Bell had written Naomi's name across the front in blue ink, but the letter inside belonged to her father, sealed before illness took his hand from signatures. Naomi pressed her thumb against the flap. "Not yet," she whispered. Her phone buzzed in the cup holder. A message from Lila appeared. "Running late. Funeral home changed delivery time. Please wait for me if you get there first." Naomi typed, "I'm here. Drive safely." A van backed toward the curb with a soft beep. Two volunteers unloaded wreaths wrapped in plastic, and wet greenery reached through the cracked window. Naomi turned the heater down and counted 4 breaths the way Bell had taught her. "Never walk into a hard room needing it to be kind," he had said. "Walk in, already steady." She opened the glove compartment. Her invitation lay on top of a photograph. Naomi at 27, in dress uniform beside Arthur Bell at a desert airstrip. On the back, he had written, "Brooks listens before she leads. That is why she will lead longer than loud ones." Naomi turned the photograph face down. A knock landed on the passenger window. A young man in a volunteer vest leaned towards the glass, one palm lifted in apology. His blonde hair was damp at the temples, and a red ribbon badge stuck crookedly to his chest. "You here for deliveries?" he asked when she lowered the window. "No, I'm attending the memorial." His eyes moved from her coat to the dashboard, then to the charity center. "Check-in is at the front. VIP guests have the blue passes. I have an invitation." "Right. You might want to park in the public lot behind the pharmacy. This space is marked for event guests." "It is." "But donors are arriving soon." Naomi held his gaze. "I'll move if the staff asks me to." The young man swallowed. "Sure. Sorry." He stepped back, almost bumping into a wreath stand. Naomi watched him hurry to the entrance and speak to a woman with a clipboard. The woman glanced toward the sedan, just enough. Naomi picked up the envelope again. Arthur Bell had asked for no stage, no cameras, no uniformed escort from her. Just the letter. Just a promise made in a hospital room when the machines breathed louder than either of them. "If Lila hesitates," he had told her, "tell her I knew she came back every Tuesday, even the weeks she stayed in the parking lot." Naomi had nodded then, because anything spoken would have broken her. Now the charity hall doors opened, releasing warm air, coffee, floor polish, and the low murmur of families gathering around framed photographs. She tucked the envelope into her coat, placed the invitation in her purse, and stepped out into the mist. Before closing the car door, she looked once at the empty passenger seat. Belle had never arrived anywhere quietly. Naomi did. The charity center lobby was brighter than the street. Naomi stepped inside at 6:31 a.m., and the glass doors sighed shut behind her. Warm air touched her cheeks. Coffee steamed along the wall, and floor polish smelled sharp under lilies near Arthur Bell's portrait. A red ribbon lay across the check-in table like a line no one had invited her to cross. Karen Voss stood behind it with a clipboard pressed to her ribs. She was 52, narrow-shouldered, with pearl earrings and glasses on a chain. Beside her, Tyler Finch sorted programs, though his eyes kept returning to Naomi's coat. "Good morning," Naomi said. "I'm here for the Bell Memorial." Karen's smile arrived late. "Family entrance is inside the main hall." "I'm not family." "Then donor check-in is at 8. My invitation is for private attendance before the ceremony." Naomi opened her purse. Tyler shifted. Programs made a dry whisper. Karen lifted one hand. Ma'am, we have a full schedule. Security asked us to keep the lobby clear until we confirm the list. Then confirm it. With whom? Lila Bell. Karen glanced past Naomi. Miss Bell isn't here yet. I know. She asked me to wait. The administrator looked down. Her finger traveled the printed names. Name? Naomi Brooks. The finger stopped, then moved again. I don't see it. Naomi held out the invitation. It may be under military guests. Karen did not take it. Those guests are entering through the West Hall with uniformed escorts. I'm not in uniform. That is what I'm saying. Inside, a microphone popped. A man tested. 1, 2. Naomi lowered the invitation an inch. Tyler cleared his throat. Maybe she can wait by the side entrance until Miss Bell gets here. Karen gave him a grateful look. Yes, that would be best. The side entrance? Naomi asked. It's quieter, Karen said. Less confusing for everyone. For whom? The pearls at Karen's ears trembled. For the event. Naomi turned the invitation over. Arthur Bell's name was embossed in blue. He would have hated the blue. Is there a problem with me standing here? She asked. Karen's mouth tightened. There is a problem with unconfirmed guests standing in an active registration area. I have given you my name. And I have explained the process. Tyler looked at the red ribbon. I can get her a temporary badge. No, Karen said too quickly. The badge roll sat within reach, red paper curling from a small box. Naomi saw the word guest stamped in black. She touched the edge of one label. It stuck lightly to her fingertip. Karen pulled the roll back. Please don't handle materials. A tiny red fiber remained on Naomi's skin. She rubbed it against her coat seam, but it clung. Men in dark jackets passed with flower stands. One glanced at Naomi's shoes, then away. I'll wait outside, Naomi said. Karen's shoulders dropped. Thank you for understanding. Naomi did not say that she understood. She folded the invitation and walked toward the glass doors. Behind her, Tyler whispered, Should we at least write her name down? Karen answered low, but not low enough. If she belongs here, someone will come for her. Naomi stepped into the gray morning with the red paper fiber still stuck to her finger. At 6:47 a.m., the mist had thinned into a cold shine on the pavement. Naomi walked back to the silver sedan without hurrying. The red fiber still clung to her finger. Across the street, a bakery vent pushed out warm sugar. Through the charity center glass, Karen Voss turned away. Naomi unlocked the car. The lamps flashed. Ma'am, step away from the vehicle. She turned with the door half open. Officer Grant Hale stood beside a patrol cruiser, one hand on his belt. His uniform was crisp, and his eyes stayed on the car. Good morning, officer, Naomi said. Is this your vehicle? Yes. Registration. It's in the glove compartment. Then why are you outside of it? I was asked to wait outside. By who? Event staff. Hale looked toward the center. Tyler stood behind the glass, then stepped out of sight. You have ID. Yes? Get it. Naomi reached toward her purse. Stop. His voice snapped across the hood. A man with flowers froze. I didn't tell you to reach into a bag. You asked for identification. I asked if you had it. Naomi lowered her hand. I do. Put the keys on the hood. She placed the key ring beside the windshield wiper. The brass coin tapped the paint. Hale's eyes flicked to it, then away. The doors opened, letting out coffee smell and laughter that died when people saw the cruiser lights. Whose car is this? Mine. Name on the registration. Naomi Brooks. And that's you? Yes. You understand how this looks? To whom? To me. A wet flag rope knocked against a pole. Naomi said, Then we can clear it quickly. My registration is inside. My invitation is in my purse. Hale glanced at the doors. The staff called about a suspicious person around a donor vehicle. They spoke to me inside. And then you came back out. For documents. Convenient. People gathered at the steps, shoes scuffing, voices dropping. Hale pointed at the hood, opened the car, and stepped back. I would like to retrieve the registration myself. You don't get to direct me. I am not directing you. Sounds like you are. Naomi pressed unlock. The sedan clicked open. Hale moved closer and leaned past her. Sir, she said, the documents are in the glove compartment. He stopped inches from her shoulder. She smelled mint gum and rainwater. You hiding something? No. Then let me do my job. My property is not a problem to solve. His eyes hardened. Say that again. Naomi opened her palm with the key in the center. The brass coin swung below it. My property, she said, is not a problem to solve. A woman near the steps whispered, Oh no. Hale looked at Naomi's hand. Ma'am, turn around. For what reason? Failure to comply during an investigation. I have complied with every lawful request you made. Turn around. Naomi looked toward the lobby. Karen stood behind the glass. Tyler was beside her, pale, fingers tangled in red ribbons. No one opened the door. Naomi placed the key back on the hood. The coin settled beside it. Officer Hale, she said, before this goes further, check the envelope in my coat pocket. He stepped behind her. Hands behind your back. The first cuff closed before the flag rope struck the pole again. Naomi's phone rang while the first cuff was open. The sound came from her coat pocket, muffled under wool and rain. 3 vibrations, then the bright chime she used only for Lila Bell. Naomi turned enough to see the phone pressing against fabric. That is Miss Bell, she said. Officer Hale pulled her wrist back. Eyes forward. She can confirm why I'm here. She can confirm it after I finish. The second cuff clicked. A boy near the steps stopped chewing the corner of his program. Someone's cup tipped on the curb, spilling coffee toward Naomi's shoe. June Park stood under the awning with her nurse's badge swinging from a blue clip. She had come outside after the microphone test made the lobby feel too small. Now she held her phone at chest height, thumb hovering over the red button. Officer, Naomi said, please answer my phone or let me give you the passcode. Hale laughed. You don't get phone privileges on the sidewalk. It may prevent an unnecessary detention. You're already making it necessary. Lila's name flashed through the gap in Naomi's coat, then faded to black. The cuffs were tight enough that the old scar on her left wrist felt raised beneath the metal. Karen Voss opened the charity center door halfway. Warm coffee air rolled out with the sharp smell of lilies. Officer Hale, she called. Is everything under control? It is now, Hale said. Naomi looked toward her. Ms. Voss, please tell him I gave you my name. Karen's hand tightened around the handle. You gave a name, yes? And the invitation? You showed something. I couldn't verify it. Tyler stood behind her, pale, with red guest badges dangling from his fingers like a torn flag. Hale nodded. Thank you. June stepped down from the awning. Wait, she asked you to check something in her coat. Hale turned. Who are you? June Park. I'm a nurse at the Veterans Clinic. Then go inside. I heard her say there was a number. Naomi's phone started again. The chime sounded smaller this time, trapped against her ribs. June, Naomi said. Call Lila Bell. Her number is on the invitation on the hood. Hale stepped between them. Do not touch anything on that vehicle. I wasn't going to, June said. A man near the flower stands lifted his phone. Another woman whispered, "This is crazy," then moved back when Hale looked her way. The crowd formed a half circle with the car at its center. Hale picked up the invitation and slid it under the windshield wiper without opening it. "That's event material," Naomi said. "It's not your decision. My name is printed inside. Your name is what you say it is." The phone stopped. For a second there was only the wet tick of water from the awning and the electric hum of the sedan. Naomi's shoulders stayed level. June finally pressed record. "Ma'am," she called, "I'm recording now." Naomi turned just enough for her voice to carry. "Please keep the full video." Hale opened the rear cruiser door. "That's enough." From inside the charity hall, applause rose for a speaker Naomi could not see. The sound washed over the sidewalk, bright and wrong. Then Naomi's phone lit one more time inside her pocket, and this time June saw the name before the screen went dark. Lila Bell. The applause inside the charity hall faded into feedback. Naomi stood beside the open cruiser door with her wrists behind her and the crowd widening around her like water around a stone. Rain ticked from the awning, louder than the voices that had gone missing. "Inside," Officer Hale said. A boy in a navy blazer stood near the steps. The metal on his lapel swung against a brass button. Tap, tap, tap. Each time his mother's hand tightened on his shoulder. Naomi saw it and lowered her eyes first. "Do not put her in that car," Chaplain Mercer called. Hale kept one hand on Naomi's arm. "Chaplain, this is your last warning." Mercer pushed through two men, Kane skidding on wet concrete, his eyes fixed on the key ring lying on the hood. "That coin," he said. "Where did you get that coin?" Naomi answered before Hale could. "It was given to me." "By whom?" "Arthur Bell." The name moved through the crowd like a draft. "Chaplain, please," Karen Voss said. "The memorial is starting." Mercer did not look at her. "Arthur only gave that coin to 5 people. Hale's jaw flexed. "Sir, step back. 1 went to a surgeon, 1 to a pilot, 1 to a man who never came home." Mercer's hand shook over the hood. "And 1 to a woman he said could keep a room alive by staying quiet." Naomi's fingers opened behind her, then closed. The cuff chain clicked. Hale looked at the phones. "Everybody back. Now." The crowd obeyed in small movements. A shoulder turned. A heel scraped. A woman tucked her phone against her chest. June did not lower hers. "Officer," she said. "She asked 3 times for you to verify the invitation." Hale pointed at her. "You want to be part of this report?" June's thumb shifted on the screen. "I already am." Caleb's metal tapped again. His mother, Andrea Ross, bent down and whispered, "Don't stare." But Caleb stared at Naomi the way children stare when adults pretend something is normal. Naomi turned her face away. Hale leaned close. "You are creating a scene." "No," Naomi said. "You are." For the first time, his grip lost rhythm. Sergeant Melissa Crane's cruiser rolled up behind his, tires hissing through the gutter. She stepped out before the lights stopped flashing, a compact woman with gray temples. "What happened?" Crane asked. "Suspicious person. Possible vehicle theft. Refusal to comply," Hale said. Naomi turned her head. "That is not accurate." Crane's gaze moved to the cuffs. "Did he ask you for identification?" "Yes." "Did you provide it?" "He stopped me from reaching for it." "You asked for ID," June said. Crane looked toward June. "Who are you?" "A witness." "Right now, you are an obstacle. Step back." Mercer pulled the envelope from under the windshield wiper. "Sergeant, read this." Crane lifted one palm. "Do not touch evidence." It is an invitation. It is now part of an active scene. The chaplain held the envelope against his chest. Hale guided Naomi down toward the cruiser. The metal tapped again. Naomi paused with one knee at the doorframe. She looked once at Caleb, then at June's phone. "Keep recording," she said. Hale shut the door. On the hood, the brass coin swung in the wind and turned over, revealing an engraving Mercer had not seen in 20 years. The envelope slipped when Hale reached for Naomi's shoulder. It fell flat on the wet asphalt, face down, and the corner darkened at once. For one quiet second, everyone watched paper instead of the woman in the cruiser. Wind pushed it toward the tire. "Leave it," Sergeant Crane said. Chaplain Mercer bent anyway. His cane clattered against the curb. "Do not touch that. It has her name on it. It may be evidence. It is a letter from a dead man." Hale opened the cruiser door. "Sergeant, I've got her secured." Naomi sat behind the glass with her back straight and her cuffed hands low. The plastic seat was cold through her coat. Rain streaked the window, turning the crowd into broken shapes. June Park moved closer, phone still raised. "He never opened the invitation. It's on my recording." Crane's eyes cut to her. "Put the phone away." "No." Crane stepped toward her. "This is an active police matter, and I'm not interfering. You are inside my scene. I'm on a sidewalk." Crane said to Hale, "Finish transport." Inside the cruiser, Naomi heard only pieces through the sealed door. Scene, transport, evidence. The air smelled of vinyl and disinfectant. She turned her wrist to keep the cuff from the scar, but the chain scraped. On the steps, Caleb tugged at his mother's sleeve. "Mom, why won't they read it?" Andrea covered his medal. "Quiet, baby." "But he said it's from General Bell." Karen Voss stood with her clipboard hugged to her chest. Tyler Finch held red guest badges. "Karen," Tyler whispered, "we should tell them she came inside." "We already did." "No, we didn't. We told them enough." Mercer reached the envelope before the wind did. He did not open it. He only lifted it from the asphalt and saw Naomi Brooks written in Lila's blue letters. His face changed. "Sergeant Crane," he said, "this woman is expected here." Crane turned back. "You don't know that. I know Arthur Bell's family." Hale leaned against the driver's door. "Chaplain, grief makes people see what they need." Mercer looked at him. "Grief has made me careful." Someone whispered, "Maybe they should check." Crane heard it. She walked to the cruiser and looked through the rear window at Naomi. "Ma'am, if you have verification, provide it at the station." Naomi turned her head. Her voice came muted through the glass. "You have it in your hand." Crane looked at the envelope, then at the phones. "Secure it," she said to Hale. Hale reached for the paper, but Mercer pulled it back. "I will hand it to your sergeant." "Sir," Hale said, "don't test me." Without his cane, Mercer stood unevenly. Still, he held the envelope higher. Crane stepped between them. "Give it to me." "Open it here." "No?" "Then write down that you refused." Crane's eyes narrowed. "Give it to me." Mercer placed the damp envelope in her hand. The paper left a wet mark across her palm. Hale shut Naomi's door. Blue light flashed across Arthur Bell's portrait in the windows. June called, "Ma'am, I got the whole thing." Naomi met her eyes through the glass and gave the smallest nod. As the cruiser pulled from the curb, the envelope lay unopened in Sergeant Crane's hand, its wet corner pressed over the name Naomi Brooks. The holding room clock clicked louder than the air conditioner. Naomi sat at the metal table with her coat still on and her hands finally free, though the red marks around her wrists had not faded. The room smelled of disinfectant, burnt coffee, and old paper. A plastic cup trembled each time the vent coughed. Officer Ben Rowe set a form on the table. He was 31, thin-faced, with a pen behind his ear. Mrs. Brooks? Ms. He corrected the paper. Full legal name. You already have it on the invitation. I don't have the invitation. Then ask Sergeant Crane. Ben tapped the pen once. I need to enter something. Naomi Elaine Brooks. Address? I will provide that after I speak with a supervisor who contacted the number in my coat pocket. Sergeant Crane is the supervisor. Then she can make the call. The cup shook. A thin ring of water spread under it. Ben lowered his voice. She marked your request as an unverified military claim. I did not make a claim. That's how it's written. I asked them to call a number. There's a difference? There is a difference between what happened and what someone needs the page to say. The door opened. Sergeant Melissa Crane stepped in with Naomi's purse in a clear property bag, her gray temples damp from rain. Officer Rowe, give us a minute. Ben left the pen and walked out. Crane placed the bag on the chair across from Naomi. You understand why this is being handled carefully. I understand it is being handled defensively. You were detained during a vehicle investigation. You still have not checked the registration. We're doing that. And the invitation? It's being logged. Opened? Logged. The vent rattled. Naomi waited until the sound died. Sergeant, there is a phone in that bag. There is a contact labeled Lila Bell. Call her. We don't take instructions from detainees. You take evidence from them. Crane leaned closer. You are not helping yourself. I am trying to help you before this becomes harder to repair. For a moment, only the clock moved. Crane's jaw set. Officer Hale reported that you refused identification, attempted to access a vehicle during questioning, and encouraged a bystander to interfere. Naomi looked at the water ring. Your officer stopped me from reaching for my identification, refused to read an invitation, and ignored a witness. That witness was escalating the scene. That witness was recording the scene. Crane lifted the property bag. Naomi's phone glowed inside it. Someone keeps calling you, Crane said. Yes? Who? The person you refused to call. Crane stared at her, searching for anger and finding none. Outside the room, muffled voices rose. Ben's voice came through the wall. I'm just saying the report says she resisted, but the video. Another voice cut him off. Crane turned toward the glass. Naomi did not move. The cold from the table climbed into her forearms. Sergeant, she said, ask yourself why the first draft needs that word. Crane's hand closed around the property bag. The plastic crackled. Then the phone lit again, bright against Naomi's wallet and keys, and the name Lila Bell filled the screen while no one in the room reached for it. The brass coin lay in Chaplain Mercer's palm, wet at the edges and warm from the minutes he had held it. He stood under the charity center awning while the cruiser's taillights vanished past the bakery. Rain tapped the canvas above him. June Park's phone glowed in her hand, still recording, though nothing moved now except the flag rope. Should we go after them? June asked. Mercer rubbed his thumb across the coin until the letters came clear. Bellridge. 5 returned. His breath caught. What does that mean? It means Officer Hale just put the wrong woman in the back of his car. Karen Voss came down one step. Chaplain, please, we have a memorial full of families. Then act like it. Tyler Finch handed him the cane he had dropped. I'm sorry. Do not apologize to me. Write down what you saw before someone teaches you to remember less. June unlocked her phone. I saw the name on her screen. Lila Bell. I have her number. Mercer took out an old flip phone. Inside the hall, a speaker said Arthur Bell's name, and applause rose like a door closing. Elias? Lila answered. I'm 10 minutes away. Did Naomi arrive? She did. What happened? The police took her from the curb. They cuffed her? Beside the car, Hale and Crane. They would not read your invitation. Oh my God. Lila, I have the Bell Ridge coin. A horn sounded on her end. She brought it? It was on her key ring. That was my father's. I know. No, Lila said, her voice changing. He told me only one person had the 5th coin. If she ever came without a uniform, it meant she was keeping a promise, not asking for honor. June moved closer. Is she saying who Naomi is? Mercer lifted a finger. Lila, I need the federal contact Arthur left with you. There's a card in the blue folder. Wait. Papers rustled. Marcus Reed, Office of Military Inspector Liaison. I'm sending it now. A text pinged on Mercer's screen. June read the number aloud, then offered her phone. Mercer dialed. A man answered on 3rd ring. Reed. Inspector Marcus Reed? This is Chaplain Elias Mercer in Redwater, Georgia. I am calling about Naomi Brooks. The pause on the line was recognition. Where is she? Walk, Reed asked. In police custody. On what basis? A vehicle inquiry. They ignored an invitation and a witness recording. They have her phone and the envelope. Who detained her? Officer Grant Hale. Sergeant Melissa Crane took command. Reed exhaled once. Do not let anyone delete video. Do not surrender originals. Tell witnesses to preserve full files, not clips. June looked down at her phone. I have the whole recording. Mercer repeated that. Reed said, I am contacting Redwater Police now. One more thing, Chaplain. Yes? If she has not chosen to identify herself, do not do it for pride. Do it only to prevent harm. Mercer looked through the glass doors. Arthur Bell's portrait stood under lilies. I understand. June stopped recording and made a copy. Karen stood in the doorway, pale under the lobby lights. Chaplain, who is she? Mercer closed his hand around the coin. The woman you left outside, he said. Then his phone buzzed with Lila's message. I'm almost there. Don't let them bury this before I arrive. The call reached Redwater Police at 7:29, just as Grant Hale bent over his report. He had written resisted in the 3rd paragraph, then stopped. The pen leaked a dark dot into the paper. Problem? Ben Rowe asked from the next desk. No. You've been staring at that line. Hale capped the pen. Do your own paperwork. The station smelled of burnt coffee and damp uniforms. Rain tapped the windows. Across the room, Sergeant Crane held Naomi's property bag, the phone glowing inside it. The front desk line rang. Ben picked up. Redwater Police, Officer Rowe speaking. His shoulders changed before his face did. Yes, sir. Hold, please. He covered the receiver. Sergeant, Federal Military Liaison on line 1. Crane did not move. Military? That's what he said. Hale laughed. Tell him to call the courthouse. Ben did not smile. He asked for the officer in charge by name. Crane crossed to the phone. This is Sergeant Melissa Crane. The room quieted. The printer stopped. The radio hiss felt louder. Hale's chair creaked. Yes, Inspector Reed, Crane said. We have Naomi Brooks here in relation to a vehicle inquiry. No charges filed yet. Another pause. Crane's eyes moved to Hale. We are still establishing identity. Naomi heard only Crane's side from the holding room, through the glass and the gap under the door. The plastic cup shivered with the vent. She looked at the water ring. Crane straightened. All recordings will be preserved. Hale stood. What recordings? Crane held up a finger. Ben looked at Hale's report. His gaze settled on the inked word. Hale turned the page over. Don't touch that. I didn't. You were looking. It's on the desk. Crane lowered the receiver. Officer Hale, sit down. I'm completing the report. Not another word goes into it until I tell you. She put the call on speaker. A calm, male voice filled the room. This is Inspector Marcus Reed. Preserve body camera footage from Hale and Crane, cruiser audio, lobby camera, property logs, dispatch audio, and all written drafts related to Ms. Brooks. Do not alter or discard notes. Hale's mouth tightened. Sir, with respect, we don't even know who she is. Reed answered, That is one reason I am calling. Hale lowered his voice. She made claims she wouldn't verify. Naomi stood behind the glass then. She did not knock. She simply rose, hands loose at her sides. Ben saw her and looked away first. Reed said, Did she request contact with Lila Bell? Crane closed her eyes. Yes. Was that call made? No. Was an envelope addressed to Naomi Brooks recovered at the scene? Crane glanced at the damp paper. Yes. Was it opened? No. Hale spoke too quickly. Because the scene was active. Reed's voice stayed level. Officer Hale, are you the author of the current report? Hale's pen rolled off the desk and struck the floor. Yes. Then stop writing. No one bent to pick it up. The door opened, letting in wet air and the smell of pavement. Somewhere beyond the lobby, a woman said, I need to see whoever is in charge. My name is Lila Bell. Naomi's fingers moved against the seam of her coat. Crane looked from the front door to the envelope, and the air changed before anyone took a step. The station door closed slowly behind Lila Bell. Rain had pinned hair to her temples, and one sleeve of her black dress was damp from the folder held against her chest. She was 35, small-boned, with her father's square jaw and a funeral ribbon crushed in her fist. I'm Lila Bell, she said. Where is Naomi? Sergeant Crane stepped into the lobby. Miss Bell, we're handling a matter involving... Where is she? From the holding room, Naomi watched through the glass. Fluorescent light turned everyone pale except the wet shine on the floor. Lila saw her. For 1 second, the room did not move. Then she crossed it so fast, Ben Rowe had to step aside. Open the door, Lila said. Crane lifted a hand. You can't enter a secured area. Then bring her out. Marcus Reed's voice came from the speakerphone. Sergeant, remove Ms. Brooks from the holding room and return her property. Hale leaned toward the phone. Sir, there are procedures. There are also records of the procedures you skipped. Crane unlocked the door. Naomi stepped out without adjusting her coat, though the cuffs had left red marks above both wrists. Lila's eyes dropped to them. I'm sorry, Lila whispered. Naomi shook her head once. You drove in the rain. My father would have haunted me. Ben looked at the floor. Chaplain Mercer entered behind Lila, cane wet at the rubber tip, the brass coin in a clear bag. Naomi, he said. She turned. Bell Ridge, Mercer said. Naomi's face changed by almost nothing. 5 returned. Hale frowned. What does that mean? The front door opened again. Marcus Reed walked in. 50, broad-shouldered, gray suit darkened at the cuffs, leather notebook under one arm. He looked at Naomi, then at the report on Hale's desk. Ms. Brooks. Inspector. Do I have permission to clarify your status to stop further mishandling? Naomi looked at Lila. The young woman held the folder like it was keeping her upright. Yes, only what is necessary. Reed faced Crane and Hale. This is Major General Naomi Elaine Brooks, United States Army. She is in Redwater today as a private citizen at the request of the Bell family." The printer clicked once and went silent. Hale's lips parted. "Major General." Naomi did not look at him. Reed continued. "She was not required to announce that on a sidewalk. Her rank is not what made the detention improper. Your refusal to verify available information did." Crane swallowed. "We didn't know." "You were given ways to know." Lila opened the folder and pulled out a matching invitation, the vehicle registration, and a letter in Arthur Bell's handwriting. "My father asked her to bring this," Lila said. "He trusted her more than anyone in that hall." Mercer placed the coin on Crane's desk. It gave a small, hard sound. "Arthur gave that to her after Bell Ridge," he said. "He didn't give symbols to strangers." Reed looked at Ben. "Preserve the draft report as it exists now." Ben nodded. "Yes, sir." Hale turned sharply. "Ben." Ben picked up the report. "It stays as it is." Naomi finally looked at Hale. "You could have opened the envelope." No one answered. Outside, a car passed through standing water, and the sound filled the space where Hale's certainty had been. The review room above City Hall had no windows, only a long table, 2 clocks that disagreed by 3 minutes, and a monitor large enough to make every mistake look intentional. Naomi sat with her hands folded. Lila Bell was beside her, the folder between them. Officer Hale kept his cap on his knee. Sergeant Crane sat 2 chairs away, eyes fixed on the blank screen. Evelyn Hart entered last, 58, silver-haired chair of the Civilian Review Commission. She removed her glasses before she sat. "Body camera 1." The screen came alive with rain, blue light, and Naomi beside the silver car. Hale's recorded voice filled the room. "Whose car is this?" Naomi answered, calm and low. "Mine." Her open palm appeared with the key resting in it. The brass coin swung below, bright for half a second. Evelyn paused the footage. "Officer Hale, did you see a key?" "Yes." "Did you compare it with the vehicle?" "I was controlling the scene." "That was not my question." His fingers tightened around the cap. "No." Evelyn clicked play. The footage jumped with Hale's movement. Naomi's hand lowered. His voice sharpened. "Stop. Don't reach into that bag." June Park's video came next. It was steadier than anyone expected. It caught Karen Voss at the door, Tyler pale behind her, the invitation on the hood, and the phone lighting in Naomi's coat. "She asked you to call Lila Bell," Evelyn said. Crane answered before Hale could. "I did not arrive until later." "You arrived before transport?" "Yes." "Did you call Miss Bell?" "No." "Why not?" "I believed it would escalate interference from bystanders." Lila made a small sound. Naomi placed 2 fingers lightly on the folder, and Lila went still. The next clip came from Crane's body camera. The image tilted as she took the envelope from Mercer. For several seconds, the camera pointed at her hand. The name, Naomi Brooks, filled the screen, blurred by rain. Evelyn paused again. The damp corner looked darker on the monitor, pressed over the blue ink like a bruise. "Sergeant, you had an item addressed to Ms. Brooks." "Yes." "And you did not open it." "I logged it." "After transport?" "Yes." "Before or after the federal call?" Crane's jaw moved once. "After." Then came the station audio. Ben Rowe's voice emerged thin through the speakers. "I'm just saying the report says she resisted, but the video—" The recording cut to Crane entering the room. Evelyn removed her glasses. "Officer Hale, the first draft used the word resisted. Show us where Ms. Brooks resisted." Hale stared at the frozen monitor. "She questioned instructions." Questioning is not resistance. She delayed compliance. By asking you to verify documents? He swallowed. By refusing to understand the seriousness of the situation. Naomi's eyes lifted. Evelyn leaned back. That is not a police standard. The air conditioner clicked on, blowing cold across the table. Crane looked at the envelope instead of at Hale. June's video resumed. It caught Naomi saying, "Please keep the full video." It also caught the silence afterward. Bystanders stepping back, the metal tapping on Caleb's button, Karen closing the door halfway. Evelyn stopped the recording. "Ms. Brooks, do you wish to make a statement now?" Naomi looked at Hale, then Crane, then the screen where her open hand remained, paused with the key. "Yes," she said. "I want the record to show I was not asking to be believed. I was asking to be checked." Hale's cap slipped from his knee and landed softly on the carpet. No one reached for it. The microphone in front of Grant Hale caught his breath before it caught his words. The hearing room smelled of wet coats, varnished wood, and paper warmed by ceiling lights. Folding chairs lined the back wall. June Park held her phone, though the video had been filed. Karen Voss sat near Tyler Finch, her purse clutched tight. Evelyn Hart looked down the table. "Officer Hale, you may respond." Hale touched the microphone stem. It made a hollow click. "I followed what I believed was necessary." Naomi sat across from him, not in uniform, not decorated, just still. Her beige coat hung over the back of her chair. The cuff marks on her wrists had faded into pale lines. "Necessary because of what?" Evelyn asked. "A suspicious circumstance." "Define suspicious." "A person beside a high-value vehicle after staff reported concern." Karen flinched. Tyler stared at his shoes. Evelyn turned. "Ms. Park." June stood too fast. Her clinic badge was clipped crookedly again. "I heard Miss Brooks ask for the invitation to be checked. I heard her ask for the phone call. I didn't step in right away." "Why not?" June looked at Naomi. "Because everyone else was standing still, and for a few seconds I let that feel like permission." The room held that answer. Ben Rowe came next. His shirt collar sat too tight. "I saw the first draft," he said. "The word resisted was written before we reviewed the footage." Hale turned. "You don't know why I used it." Ben faced the panel. "I know what I saw." "You decided to make yourself look clean." "No, I decided not to help make the page cleaner than the street was." Sergeant Crane spoke without being called. "I should have opened the envelope at the scene." "Why didn't you?" Evelyn asked. Crane's mouth tightened. "Because I was managing the complaint instead of the facts." Lila Bell pressed her fingers against the folder. The paper crackled. Hale leaned toward his microphone. "Sergeant, with respect, you confirmed transport." "And that is on me," Crane said, "not on her." The room turned quieter. Evelyn gave Naomi the floor. Naomi stood, and the chair legs made a low scrape. She did not look at the cameras near the aisle. "I am not here because an officer failed to recognize a rank," she said. "I am here because he decided verification was less important than control." Hale's face reddened. "I was not dragged. I was not struck. But there is a kind of harm when a person gives you a key, a name, a document, a witness, and a phone call, and you choose the story you brought with you." In the back row, Caleb Ross sat beside his mother, the medal against his blazer. He held it still with one small hand. Naomi saw him. "No child should watch adults teach each other to look away." "What outcome are you requesting?" Evelyn asked. "Name the failure. Correct the record. Protect the footage. Train officers to verify before they escalate. When a citizen offers proof, Teach them listening is not surrendering authority. Hale stared at the microphone. When he finally spoke, his voice barely rose above the ceiling hum. "I thought I was in control." Naomi looked at him. "You were," she said. "That was the problem." The microphone carried the sentence to every corner of the room. The new policy was taped to the glass door at 9:04 a.m. on a Thursday. Naomi stood in the hallway of Redwater Police with a cup cooling in her hand. The station smelled of fresh paint, toner, and cleaner. Beside the entrance, an old scratch from a key cut through the metal frame. The notice hung next to it. White paper. Black letters. Verification before detention. Denise Mallory, 44, the trainer hired by the city, pressed the tape. Her glasses kept sliding down her nose. "It isn't beautiful," Denise said. "It is readable," Naomi answered. Inside the briefing room, officers sat in 3 rows. Some looked at Naomi, then away. Melissa Crane sat in the second row without sergeant stripes, notebook open, pen uncapped. Denise opened the door. "Ready?" "I'm not here to scold them," Naomi said. "I'm here because next time someone may not have a chaplain, a nurse, and a federal inspector close enough to call." The room quieted badly, chair legs scraping, radios whispering at belts. Officer Hale was not there. His suspension hearing was pending, and his empty chair said enough. Denise pointed to the screen. "Today is procedure. If a citizen offers a document, a contact, or a witness, your first question is not how to regain control. Your first question is what can be verified." An officer in front raised his hand. "What if they're stalling?" "Then document the stall and verify what can be verified," Denise said. "Authority does not become weaker because it checks facts." Naomi saw Crane's pen move. Naomi walked to the front. The fluorescent lights hummed above her. "I offered a key," she said. "No one checked it. I offered a registration location. No one checked it. I offered a name. No one checked it. I offered a phone call. No one made it." No one shifted now. The problem was not that I was important. The problem was that the truth was available while I was still on the sidewalk. Crane looked up. Naomi continued. "Quiet is not guilt. Questions are not resistance. Proof is not disrespect." Ben Rowe passed laminated cards down the rows. Each card listed 4 steps: pause, secure, verify, record. Crane took hers last. Her fingers failed once to separate it from the stack. During the break, she approached Naomi near the coffee urn. "Ms. Brooks," Crane said, "Naomi is fine for this conversation." Crane looked at the cup in her hand. "I thought if I slowed it down, I would look like I didn't trust my officer. And now? Now I think I confused loyalty with cover." The paper notice lifted when the air conditioner clicked on, then settled back against the glass. Crane said, "I can't undo that door closing. No. I can sit in that room and learn the rule before I'm allowed to enforce it again." That would be a beginning. When the session resumed, Denise ran a vehicle inquiry drill. Ben played the civilian. He placed a key, an ID, and a folded invitation on the table. The first officer reached for the key before reaching for his radio. Then he stopped, looked at the card, and said, "I need to verify this before I decide what I'm seeing." Naomi watched from the doorway. The notice trembled in the draft, holding beside the old scratch like a quiet admission where everyone had to pass it. The envelope was opened at 10:18 a.m., not on a stage, but beside the wooden podium Arthur Bell had once helped build. Naomi stood near the front of the charity hall with Lila on one side and Chaplain Mercer on the other. Morning light fell through high windows, turning dust into slow gold. Families filled the chairs without the restless whispering from before. Caleb Ross sat in the first row, his medal resting flat against his blazer. Lila unfolded the letter with both hands. The paper made a small sound, and Naomi remembered the hospital room, the machine hum. Arthur Bell tapping 2 fingers against the blanket because he could no longer salute. Lila began to read. "My daughter, if Naomi brings this, it means I trusted silence more than ceremony." Her voice broke on trusted. Naomi reached for the edge of the podium, not to steady herself, only to feel the grain of the wood. Lila kept going. The letter spoke of Tuesdays in parking lots, of apologies never delivered correctly, of pride that had made years smaller than they should have been. It did not mention rank. It did not mention battles. At the end, Arthur had written, "The people who serve best are often the ones who do not ask to be seen first." When Lila finished, Mercer placed the Bell Ridge coin beside the open envelope. The metal no longer looked like proof. It looked like a returned burden. Caleb raised his hand halfway. "Yes?" Lila asked softly. "Was she his soldier?" Naomi looked at him. "Sometimes. Mostly he was my teacher." The boy nodded as if that made more sense. 2 weeks later, Redwater released its public report. Officer Grant Hale resigned before the final disciplinary hearing, with a permanent note in his record, barring him from patrol work in the county. Sergeant Melissa Crane accepted demotion, mandatory retraining, and a year under independent supervision. She did not ask to speak at the press table. She stood at the back with a notebook in her hand. Karen Voss stepped down from event coordination. Tyler Finch stayed, but he made a new rule for volunteers. Write the name down before deciding someone does not belong. June Park was invited to help design witness guidance for public incidents. Ben Rowe became the department's evidence preservation officer, a title no one had cared about until it mattered. The new procedures were not dramatic. A checklist on a door, a supervisor log, a requirement to verify documents before transport, body camera audits every month, a civilian observer during disputed detentions. Naomi read the report in her parked car, the same silver sedan, now outside the Veterans Clinic. Rain had washed the city clean and left the pavement smelling of stone. Lila knocked on the window and held up 2 paper cups. "You leaving today?" she asked when Naomi stepped out. "After I see Mercer. He says you still owe him coffee from 2006. He remembers selectively." Lila smiled, then looked down at the cup lid. "I kept thinking justice would feel louder." Naomi took the coffee. Sometimes it is just a door that opens faster for the next person. Across the street, Caleb and Andrea walked out of the clinic. Caleb saw Naomi and lifted his medal, not like a salute, more like a promise to remember. Naomi raised 2 fingers from the cup. At noon, she returned to the charity hall one last time. The podium had been moved back against the wall. The envelope lay in Lila's archive box, but the coin remained on the wood for families to see. Mercer stood beside it, cane hooked over his arm. "You came without a uniform," he said. "That was the promise." "And now?" Naomi looked at the chairs, the clean aisle, the place near the entrance where Karen had once stopped her. "Now I can go." Outside, the sedan unlocked with a soft chirp. Naomi paused before getting in. The red guest badge Tyler had finally mailed her sat on the passenger seat, unused, her name printed correctly in black ink. She placed it beside the coin's empty imprint in her palm, closed the door, and drove away. Quietly. If this story stayed with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever seen someone judged too quickly, ignored when they offered proof, or treated as if their dignity depended on someone else's permission? Tell us what happened and what you wish someone had done in that moment. Share this story with a person who believes dignity and justice should never depend on appearance, status, or the loudest voice in the room. Subscribe for more stories about quiet strength, accountability, and the kind of change that begins when one person refuses to look away. Your support helps bring more emotional justice stories like this to life.